Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order. John, I want you to know I'm angry.
Jim,
everything.
Talk to
I just
me.
thought I'd fit right into your week if I just told you I was angry about everything.
Vent to me. Could you vent to me on Twitter, please?
That's a good point.
I'm
Why
used to
talk to
that.
somebody face to face when you can vent on social media?
Yeah,
It's a much better way to communicate.
And if you've got an anonymous Twitter account and you want to be mad at me, even better. That's fine.
I'm going to, you know what? I think my new Twitter handle, just for venting to you anonymously, will be Bald Sports Guy 63.
There you go.
My birth year.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm that old. This is Preps Today with John Millea. He's John Millea from mshsl.org. He writes John's Journal at that website. Check out his stuff as he goes all over the state to find the best stories in high school sports. Today, we are... Well, I'll let you tell us where we are. It was your idea.
Baseline Tennis Center at the University of Minnesota for the Class AA Boys State Tennis Tournament. This is day 2. We're here on Wednesday, so we've got the team semifinals going on and the championship match later today. While we're sitting here in the bleachers at the tennis center, Edina and Eastview boys tennis teams are dueling in the team semifinals here. So, yeah, pretty exciting. There's a fair number of people here. This is a beautiful facility. You know, I come here every fall for the girls' tennis tournament, every spring for the boys, and then the 1A tennis is at the Reed Sweat Family Tennis Center in South Minneapolis on Nicollet Avenue. They got a couple of big bubbles there.
Yep.
Whole bunch of courts. So we've got some real nice facilities. And if we had to play these tennis matches outdoors, like a lot of states do, I see, social media posts from a lot of states. Their state tennis tournaments are outdoors, and there's rain delays, and we could get in a lot of trouble here if we tried that. So we're really thankful to have these facilities for our tennis tournaments.
Well, as a Midwest lacrosse player in college, I will tell you that the best team we ever built, the University of Missouri, I think we got to play 2 out of our 12 games because we're playing on public, parks and fields, and you could never play because it was always raining. This whole thing would be underwater, so this is a good idea.
Yeah.
This show is part of TalkNorth.com, your Minnesota podcast network, the best people on all subjects across the board. Check out TalkNorth.com. Easiest if you just subscribe at iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Thank you to Pizza Barn in Princeton for sponsoring this program. Jody Slay and her family-run business. You definitely want to stop by if you're in or near Princeton, or if you're passing through on 169, going to the cabin, coming back from the cabin. Stop in. They're great people. Great food, great beer. We'll tell you more about them later. But let's get to the source of the anger, the shot clock.
The shot clock. Okay, the High School League Board of Directors met Monday. They meet every 6 months. 20 members of the board. I've talked about this. And I've stressed this with people this week. Everybody who works for the high school league, people like me, we don't vote. We don't vote on anything. Nobody who works.
I still hold you responsible.
Well, of course you do, because I tweet about it. But the board had a big meeting, tons of things. Approved a lot of things, said no to some things. And one of the things they said no to was implementation of a 35-second shot clock for boys and girls basketball. No surprise. I don't know who thought this was going to pass. This is, I think, the third time the board has shot it down. The vote was 13-4. One member abstained. I think one member was absent. And there was another basketball proposal that didn't even get a vote. Nobody even made a motion to vote on this formula for revamping Class 4A boys and girls postseason in basketball. And the way I understand it, it would remain the same for the first 2 rounds of section tournaments. Then it'd kind of go to a Sweet 16. You'd have 16 teams left. And a committee would like seed the top 8, and then they would play unseeded teams. And the basis of that is they want the best 8 teams to go to state. And hey, that's great. That's fine. But that's not the way it's ever been done in Minnesota. I'll get to more of that later, but let's talk about the shot clock. And it's amazing the things that set people off on Twitter. And I wasn't surprised at all that I call them the flying monkeys of Twitter. Out they came, jumping all over.
By the way, of all the things in my life I've ever seen that scared the heck out of me, the flying monkeys were number one. As a kid,
it's unbelievable.
Sitting in my grandma's house every Thanksgiving watching the flying monkeys cost me like 3 years of sleep.
That's it. So out they came, and some of them wanted to know, who are the 13 people who voted no? Who are give me their contact info. Oh yeah, here you go.
That'll work.
Good luck with that. Yeah, I just as this was rolling in, this decision happened around noon on Monday. I don't know what the meeting broke for lunch. They came back and made more decisions, but it just was it was like the Normandy invasion. Speaking of timing here, and you'd thought the high school league had voted unanimously to kick everybody's dog because they didn't implement a shot clock. And some people are mad because the high school league, they're saying this is how it's always been done. We've never had a shot clock. Nobody's saying that. We are saying only 8 states have shot clocks for high school basketball. It's not a national rule. And the board, I know they agree with people who want a shot clock that those people are obviously, they have the right to want what they want. And these are mostly basketball coaches and basketball people. But the cost is a big thing here. And the board gets input from a lot of people, a lot of groups. But 2 of the important ones are region committees. The high school league has 16 region committees of people from around the state, half in big schools, half in small schools. And the high school league also has an athletic directors advisory committee. So the region committees voted 11-5 against shot clocks. The athletic directors advisory committee voted 14-2 against shot clocks. And the board knew that before they took this up Monday. And I think the strategy of the coaches just needs to be adjusted here if they ever want to make this happen. And a good friend of mine, Tom Critchley, a former coach, a great guy, he's executive director of the Boys Basketball Coaches Association. He's been the point man on these things for a long time. He does a great job, and he told the Star Tribune, Jim, your newspaper, quote, the activities directors are what's slowing it down. And he went on to say, we'll have to make a stronger effort in engaging the activities directors on the advisory committee. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You can't just go to the board time after time and think you're going to change their minds. You got to get that groundswell. If you're going to get the board to approve something, they have to know that people on the ground floor of these things are on board. So, they might get there. I'm not saying the shot clock will never happen. It's not happening now. But, it is what it is, and I can certainly take angry tweets and as I tweeted, yes, it escalated quickly. First, as I was tweeting that they're talking about shot clocks, okay, now they're going to have a roll call vote, and then all the jokes came in. Is there a shot clock on how long this should take? And so I closed the door. I said we've reached our quota of shot clock jokes, and then once I announced
the first 20 are funny.
Oh, they were hilarious. So once the decision was made, it sunk in a hurry. But that's okay. We can handle Twitter abuse. I'm not even going to call it abuse, but mad people on Twitter.
And I'll offer my view on this, John.
Yeah.
Like, without thinking about it deeply, my first reaction is, of course you should have a shot clock.
Yeah.
Then, when I do think about it, here's what I think. Okay, my wife's a principal in a small town, right? We don't spend enough on education in our country.
Yeah.
Do I really want her school to have a shot clock, but not really put that money into children's lunches or books or computers or whatever? Nah, not my top priority.
Yeah, that's
number 2 is one of the things I like about high school basketball is it looks different than college basketball or the NBA.
Yeah.
Now I don't want that one game out of 100,000 where somebody just holds the ball and kills the game.
And it is extremely rare.
It's very rare, and it can also be tweaked by a rules emphasis. Just if somebody holds the ball, there's probably a way to force action other than having a shot clock. So, like I said, first blush, give me a shot clock.
Right.
If I think it through, not only am I not angry about it, I get it.
And some schools in the state, maybe quite a few, already have shot clocks as new gyms have been built or revamped.
And big schools can't afford it.
Right, and they'll throw in shot clocks, and some small schools have them, just because that's part of a building, process. They've had them, and that's fine. But I had an athletic director talk to me about this a couple weeks ago, and he said for schools that don't have it, it costs the same for a giant school as it does for a tiny school, and the giant schools can more easily afford them. So, and some people on Twitter have said, what's the problem we're trying to fix? And is it that one out of every 350 games where somebody stalls a little bit? I don't know. But, yeah, it's not going away, and that's fine. I really appreciate the basketball coaches' passion on this. They think it would make their game better. I'm not going to argue with the coach about their sport. They know it a lot better than I do. And on this proposal to change the 4A girls and boys postseason and have the 8 best teams, one example cited was last year girls basketball. Hopkins and Wayzata were the number 1 and 2 teams in the state, and they're in the same section. Only one of them went to state. And I don't see anything wrong with the desire to get the best teams, but that goes against almost a century of tradition in Minnesota of geographic representation. We've got 8 sections in the state in basically every sport. And again, if the coaches want to get that underlying support from athletic directors and principals and superintendents and school boards, hey, that's what it'll take. And that, that's change is good. I've always thought so. And I'm not against the shot clock. I'm not for a shot clock. I'm not against or for this new format. But, the process has to be the right process. And they haven't been there yet, but hopefully they'll get there. Now we can talk about people who are happy. Volleyball people are happy. Cross-country people are happy. Soccer people are happy. Because effective 2 years from this fall, all those sports are going to add a class. Volleyball is going to go to 4, which makes sense. More girls play volleyball in Minnesota than any other sport. Softball has 4 classes. Basketball has 4. So volleyball is going to go to 4. Cross-country and soccer are going to go to 3. Nordic skiing, the board approved adding a sprint relay event to section and state. This is the Jesse Diggins event that everybody loved at the Olympics. I think that's a good move. A couple of wrestling changes. Wrestling teams will be allowed to enter more than one wrestler at a specific weight in an individual regular season tournament. That's just because to help adjust matches. You're not going to have as many forfeits. And also wrestling programs that are battling participation numbers. If they've got 20 or fewer kids on the wrestling team, they'd be allowed to go scrimmage another wrestling team a couple times a week if they want to. So other things that were not approved. Okay, shot clock, we've talked about it. We beat it to death. The 4A basketball postseason change, that didn't work. We're at the tennis tournament here. There was a request from the Tennis Coaches Association to add a 3rd class in boys and girls tennis. That did not get approved. And I think part of that is I'm not sure tennis has enough participating schools to meet that threshold. So that did not get approved. Wrestling coaches wanted to add full consolation to the state wrestling tournament. Right now, a wrestler can go to state, lose the first match, and be done. Not always, but if like the kid who beat them then loses in the second round, the kid who lost the first round is done. That did not happen. And then in dance, 3A dance, the biggest class of dance, the coaches requested a kind of a change in how teams qualify for state. That did not get approved. So it was pretty wild and woolly Monday at the High School League World Headquarters up in Brooklyn Center with this meeting. We had a lot of people there watching. A lot of people from all these different coaches groups spoke to the board and answered questions. And kudos to the board for taking on the heavy lifting here, because this is, when people are, they're all getting yelled at. They're getting emails and probably phone calls on a lot of these things. And there's been a lot of negative blowback on this. But like I said, some people are very happy. The coaches sports are getting another class in 2 years, very excited. So it's a mixed bag. It always is with these things. There's no perfect way to do it, but that's a tough job those 20 members of the board have.
Let's get to amazing track and field stories, but first let's thank Pizza Barn Princeton.com.
Yeah, you bet. Pizza of the month for June, the Big Kahuna, and Jody Stay, our friend up there who runs the Pizza Barn, put a cool video on her Facebook page, Pizza Barn Princeton Facebook page. First she put a thing up there saying the pizza of the month is the Big Kahuna. Who can tell me the ingredients? She had a contest, and somebody won a free Big Kahuna pizza. So she had this nice Facebook video sitting there as she's making a Big Kahuna, and she revealed the ingredients. First she said a lot of people guess Spam. If it's a Hawaiian related, they guess Spam. She said, "There's no spam. There's no spam." But it's